Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully find this one interesting. This movie is a drama from the UK, English language, released in the year 2025, directed by Edward Berger, and this film is called The Ballad of a Small Player. So The Ballad of a Small Player is about a man known as Lord Doyle, who is in Macau, and he is gambling. So he's a high stakes gambler, he's getting all the special treatment, but we get an insight into his life, and it appears that he's hiding from something, and so his past is about to catch up with him in Macau, and whether or not he can actually turn his life around is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Ballad of a Small Player. This is actually a fascinating movie. It was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. So Colin Farrell is the reason why I wanted to watch this movie. Next to no one talks about it, and so I didn't really have any reason except the fact that I'm a Colin Farrell fan, and he was playing the lead role. So when I saw the trailer I thought it looked quite extravagant, and so it definitely piqued my interest. So after watching Ballad of a Small Player, it was a lot better than I was actually expecting. This is actually quite a suspenseful film without even really trying, because you know that the stakes are actually high, and that this character has a lot to lose, and you're wondering why he's betting so much, and then you get an insight into his background, and his background actually catching up with him, and it creates a certain sense of a whirlwind of destruction, but it's psychological destruction. So it's a character study of a man who is really tormented, and I thought as though the way he unravels is actually fascinating and at the same time quite disturbing as well. So it does have a very dark heart to this movie, and it is a case of addiction, and how addiction can grab someone, and how addiction is very difficult to run away from, and it'll always catch up to you. So if you're not going to deal with the specific problem, it's always going to be behind you, tormenting you. And so Colin Farrell's performance in this movie was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best performances that I've actually seen him deliver, and it was just a very sympathetic performance, but at the same time I kept thinking to myself, what are you running away from? And so when you actually get an insight into what he's running away from, I thought to myself, alright, well, it gives him a little bit of a darker spin, but at the same time, because he's so sympathetic, this is a victim of circumstances, and those circumstances were portrayed in a way that was very vivid. It has the Macau lifestyle. On the surface, it's a very fascinating lifestyle. It's the nightlife, it's the life that you want to be a part of, but underneath it shows you the sinister underbelly of this environment, of the gambling environment, and how people will lurch onto you to suck you dry of every single cent that you have. And so when this character is going through these high stakes gambling games, I thought to myself, those specific moments had a lot of suspense to them, and it's done through the visuals, it's done through the soundtrack and the camera angles, the shots that it has. I thought was absolutely fantastic. It's a fever pitch nightmare that this film delivers. The sweating, there's a lot of sweating in this movie that I thought really magnified the stakes that this movie had. You know, the consequences. If he loses, he's going to lose everything. And through the visuals and through the facial expressions of Colin Farrell's performance, I thought as though it really dictated that very well. You have side characters that come into the movie that complicate the situation. You have Tilda Swinton, who plays a cameo performance in this movie that I thought was good. I'm a real big fan of Tilda Swinton. That was another reason to actually go and see the film. And so to have Tilda Swinton and Colin Farrell in a movie that I really hadn't heard of, I thought to myself, how did this get under my radar? So visually it is very extravagant. As I said, captures Macau very well, but as I said, that underlying psychological tension that the movie has captures the darkness of Macau. You know, this is a very glitzy environment, but it's glitzy because it's capitalising upon people's misfortune, and it's the misfortune that really shapes its main character that I really wanted to see how it would unfold. So the movie does get darker and darker, the complications arise, and I thought to myself, how is this going to end? And so fantastic visuals, fantastic acting performances, but there was a certain issue that I had with this movie that prevented me from loving it. I thought right at the end it could have been a little bit better. I thought as though it was threatening to really explode into a fascinating finale, but I thought as though it really died out. I thought as though it could have ended a little bit earlier, and with a little bit of a difference it would have actually capitalised on that cautionary tale, but it doesn't do that. I have to be careful not to give anything away, but it doesn't do that, which left me somewhat disappointed. But that's the only criticism I have in a movie that I thought was fascinating to look at. It's one of the better movies that I hadn't heard of, and so if you are a fan of Colin Farrell and Tilda Swinton and you want something a little bit different that will have you on the edge of your seat in suspense just through the psychology of the movie, this is definitely one for you. I would highly recommend it. Yes, it goes on a little bit too long for its own good. I thought as though it really could have nailed it if it finished a little bit earlier and if it actually went down a different path, but yeah, that's just a small problem in what was definitely an underrated movie. It's recommended. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.